I'd like to start this video off with the punchline as a courtesy to the collectors, players, and tone chasers out there, because if you've done your research on these instruments, you probably already know the answer. The Jackson Juggernaut is going to be the most guitar, because it just has features that you would expect from a professional instrument. However, it is the most expensive by a considerable margin, and it doesn't have the direct Periphery signature sound right off of the shelf. Then Jake Bowen's signature Ibanez, the JBM10FX, is what I believe to be the best value because you get his pickups stock in the guitar for a really good price. And then Mark's PRS, I think, is catered to someone who would prefer the sound of these pickups or someone looking for a gateway instrument to the style of guitar with a familiar shape and neck profile. Compared to its counterparts, Mark's PRS is in a completely different wheelhouse. For one, it is not an arch top, and for two, you have this much more bulbous shape, which I think works for, bigger body builds, because it feels really big on me, and I'm 5'8", 5'9"-ish. And initially, I didn't think I would like the natural look as much as I do. I love seeing the wood grain of the mahogany body. I like seeing the three-piece of the neck, and aesthetically seeing the 3 layers of wood on the scoop by the heel I think is really cool. I think the quilt veneer version does look really good, and I do like the finish, but I just wish it was satin, especially looking at the proper PRS core models, and the other Periphery guitars do come in satin. But the Walnut version, which is what this is, does not come in 6-string configuration yet. And the location of the pickup selector is a little different. It's down underneath the knobs, in between the knobs, and coming from John Petrucci guitars, which have the pickup selector just right there next to the pickups, I would normally snob about something like this, but I'm actually indifferent. And it's a 3-way lever, where the other guitars are a 5-way, and then you have the coil tap push-pull on the tone knob. So technically you have 6 sounds instead of 5 from the 5-way selector, but then you're locked into the tone knob. And that highlights another difference because the Juggernaut has a tone push-pull which will engage and disengage it into the pickup circuit, and the JBM10FX doesn't have a tone knob at all. Another major difference with Mark's guitar, and something that I think personally is a really big deal, is the lack of locking tuners. The other Periphery guitars and all their variations do have locking tuners, and it's something that the style of guitar that Periphery promotes would really benefit from having locking tuners. Changing string gauges or changing tunings all the time, it would really help to have those. And in the video Mark's playing Sentient Glow at Seymour Duncan, his version of the SE does have locking tuners. And I think that's evidence enough to just charge 40 extra bucks for the guitar and have it stock on the instrument. It's extremely difficult to provide a hierarchy for the neck profiles because it is very personal. The profile of the Juggernaut and the Mark model are actually very similar. Really nothing over the top or characteristic about them. Not too thin, not too thick. For me, the USA Juggernaut has been one of my mainstays for the last 4 years, which is identical to the Pro Series. So that is what I am used to, and that is what I prefer. The neck profile of the JBM is a generic Ibanez neck profile, so it's a little thinner, built for speed. If you go to your Ibanez authorized dealer and you pick up a standard series from the shelf, that's pretty much what it's going to feel like. I personally think it's pretty good. I like it. I think it's above average, not my number one, but I do really enjoy playing those necks. In terms of the materials of the neck, all 3 slightly differ, but pretty much do the same thing. On the Jackson Juggernaut, you have roasted maple, and on the older models, it's just regular quarter-sawn maple with a scarf joint, so there's no bump at the headstock. And it is tongue oiled, so it has this super soft, very smooth feel to it. Then the JBM10FX is a single piece maple, and it does have a volute, so you will have that bump by the headstock, and it is painted like the body of the guitar, but it is satin, which has a little bit of a grippier feel to it, but still very smooth. Then Mark's model is a 3-piece maple neck, which has kind of like a glossy sheen to it and feel. Then the maple veneer version is a painted satin version, which is what I would prefer between those two. In the world of side dots, the Juggernaut has lumen lay side dots. Nothing on the JBM, which is weird because Ibanez does do lumen lay, and the PRS SE has white binding and black dots, so at least it has that extreme contrast. And something that I consider to be much more important than it actually is when shopping for a guitar, and that is neck construction. I have considered the Juggernaut to be a masterclass in comfort for bolt-on guitars. It has recessed ferrules, the lack of a back plate on the joint, and it is rounded, so there's a deep cut inside, not only outside on the heel. So when your hands cup the joint, the side of your hand has room to move. And lastly, the wood becomes flat where it mates against the body, so that the transition is absolutely seamless. And I'll be realistic, this is a pretty chunky boy. It's not like a neck through that has universal thickness all the way down to the 24th fret. There is a, shift where the neck meets the body. Moving to the Ibanez, we see a similar thing, but it's less dramatic than the Juggernaut, and I would say overall passable in my book. And when it comes to the PRS, this is just the unfortunate inherent design of these guitars. I am personally not a fan. It does help that this is an extended scale 7-string, so I have much less business being around the 20th to 24th fret. And just for comparison, I have a Kiesel here with an angle on the joint, but has no sculpted relief on the heel, and I would consider this an absolute minimum for y'all looking for the bolt-on life. Comparing fretboard radiuses, the Misha model and the Mark model both have a uniform 20-inch fretboard radius, which is about as flat as they come. Then the JBM has a 15 to 16 fretboard radius. I think a lot of contemporary or prog metal guitar players kind of on paper drift towards a flatter radius, but ABC comparing them back to back, I would say the thinner neck profile of the Ibanez does achieve a similar feel. Jake's guitar does have a unique output jack where it has the barrel jack pointing up to promote wrapping your cable around your strap button and into the guitar. And the PRS SE is the only one to come with a gig bag. The other two don't come with any case at all. Something I will credit Jackson for is the Juggernaut comes in many different colors, but I can't help be disappointed that it does not come with Misha's signature bare knuckle pickups. And credit where credit's due, I think it's really cool that Mark Holcomb plays his SE models consistently and live, where Jake is usually seen playing his LA custom shops and Misha does whatever he wants. But I give Jackson a lot of credit that even though the guitar does not come stock with the bare knuckles, they have the square routing and the 5-way super switch ready for the bare knuckles to be put in the Pro Series. Comparing truss rod adjustment location, the Jackson Juggernaut has it in the only place it should ever be, and that is accessible from the outside without any component removal. The PRS has a 1-screw operation with a 7mm wrench adjustment, and the Ibanez has a 3-screw operation with a Allen key adjustment, which is weird because this is the one that I find making adjustments on the most. Now, for those kind folk who have made it this far in the video, I have a question for you. Would you rather have all 3 of these guitars or one guitar equaling similar value? Are you looking for a more quality over quantity guitar, or would you rather have the ability to have guitars in different tunings and string configurations to accommodate your playing style? Let me know in the comments. But that's it for this video. Please subscribe and like.